I don't care what you're doing right now. Watch kaiju number 8.
I never give up, sir.
You saved my mommy from a bad kaiju. I've already made a fool of you.
Alrighty, time to neutralize this kaiju.
I want to go into small detail when it comes to the story because I already went into detail in my first video, as well as I do also want you to go ahead and watch it. Even though I ain't gonna be spoiling it a lot here and there, but getting into it. The story starts off with a character by the name of Kafka, who's 32 years old at this point in time, and he basically cleans up after all the dead kaijus are basically killed by the division leaders, who was the elite strike force that kills kaiju. He wants to join the strike force, but he's always been a failure when it comes to that, so he's always just been able to only just clean up the kaijus here and there. One day a new guy called Ichikawa comes in, and he sort of basically inspires him a little bit to actually go ahead and so join the strike force. But in the midst of that, they get attacked by a kaiju, they get sent to the hospital, and in this hospital actually Kafka gets attacked by another kaiju, but it's a completely smaller kaiju, and it goes down his throat and his esophagus and turns him into a kaiju, being kaiju number 8. We're getting straight into it. I think the thing I like the most when it comes to the show is definitely the characters. The characters themselves is not a singular character that I would say I don't like. I think even the minor characters get a spotlight, and we also get just an insight or a decent understanding of like either who or what they are, and especially their past. That's why I do think I actually really do enjoy most of the platoon and the armor that we do get a chance to see from the 3rd Division. But going over a few of them, the first one I also have to go over is Kafka. I think Kafka is amazing. I love him for a few reasons. One, I love Kafka because he feels like the shining embodiment of hope, of him not giving up on his dream, of one being next to his close friend when he was a kid, Mina, and making that promise of like, hey, we're both going to be in the defense force, Mina, and I'm going to be by your side no matter what. And no matter how or what he has to do to get to this goal, he's going to get to this goal no matter what. And this leads me to the next thing, which is just the honor and respect that he necessarily gives every single soldier out there. He doesn't, not one time, or like he does maybe once or twice, but most of the time he tries to never use his powers when it comes to him trying to make it a chance to get inside the platoon and become part of the 3rd Division and becoming a soldier himself. Him wanting to do it with his own abilities, with his own strength, with his own power, with his own will, showing that he can do it on his own. Something else that just feels extremely nice and genuine when it comes to it is just like how he feels like he's a mentor to all the other soldiers. Not only does he make them all laugh, but he also sometimes gives them advice to make sure they're okay. It feels like he's like the heart of the group, if anything. The next person surprising who I want to go over is actually Kikaru. I like Kikaru a lot. She's basically the prodigy that's out of all the soldiers that's in the base, being really close to probably a vice captain's level. What really genuinely interested me a lot when it came to this character is necessarily her past. When we the viewer get into her past and we find out necessarily why she's so good at using the suits and why she's so a prodigy at what she's doing, because she's always been practicing ever since she was a little girl. She basically was the best whenever it came to any of her test scores or anything that she necessarily was doing for any schoolwork. But the main issue was that her father was never there for her. Nobody was ever there like as a parental figure for her. Like her mother was already dead. Her father was basically just doing every single other thing but being there for his daughter. Whenever she came home with an accomplishment, he would always undermine it. He would be like, yeah, you're supposed to have that. What do you want? Like a cookie or something like that? There's a lack of relationship and communication. It makes it genuinely feel like it's only there for a business practice. And that is something that can genuinely put holes in you and basically ruin you. Not having a good structure, not having a good parental figure, whether it be a father figure or a mother figure in your life, leading you to say things and do things as out of your character, to basically act out, which makes a lot of sense when it comes to her always being smug or her always talking shit to any of the other platoons out there. It's almost like a need or look for attention. But I think the saving grace for her is just a relationship that she has with Kafka. It doesn't feel weird. It's not some weird thing like how it would be in any other anime. It's basically like he's the father figure for her. She always seems happy and she always blushes whenever he's around from what he's saying to her specifically. He says like, oh, everything's gonna be great, everything's gonna be fine. And one of the things I felt that really solidified and started this whole relationship as a daddy-daughter type of thing is something extremely short and extremely simple, and it's something that you would love to say to your child is, you did great out there. That is it. That is all he had to say, and he basically just had it after that.
You did great, Kikoru. Good job.
Huh? What are you still doing out here?
Next up, we got Ichikawa. I really do like Ichikawa. He's very much up there for me when it comes to all the characters in there, because not only does he show a lot of potential when it comes to him in fighting kaijus and him being able to maybe get up to a vice captain or captain's level, but at the same breath, he's also a really good person and extremely similar to Kafka in those regards. No matter the situation, Ichikawa is one of those people that you want in your corner. He's always going to try to look after all the soldiers that's around him. He's always going to try to help, even when he has little to nothing that he potentially can do. He's going to do the most he potentially can do in the moment in time. And the way he acts, it feels like he just gives you that genuine belief like everything's going to be okay. Especially to Kafka when he's basically getting taken off to a specific location. He's like, Kafka, we're waiting for you when you come back, and gives a good old solid salute to him. And speaking about Kafka again, it's just one of those relationships that I also like is with Kafka and Ichikawa. It feels like a genuine relationship when it comes to them being either, again, maybe father or son, or maybe potentially just master and student. But he does call him senpai a lot, so I guess maybe master and student basically fits a lot better. But Ichikawa and Kafka are just basically ride or dies. They're always there for each other and always going to be there for each other. And if anything, felt like one of those old comedies where you see the young man and then the old man sort of get together and they sort of get to know each other and sort of like each other by the end of things. Next, I want to talk a small, tiny, bitty, minor amount about Mina, right? So basically what Mina is, she's like the captain of all of these people here. She's the captain of all of the people in this army, specifically the 3rd Division. And she's one of the characters where it felt like we get a very small amount, but it feels like it's also a bit of a lot, and it leaves a lot of room for what we can potentially get in the future. From what it seems like with Mina, she's like one of those calm, cool, and collected people that basically only sometimes smiles, rarely here and there, when they're a little bit happy. Like when she talks or thinks about her childhood friend Kafka and how basically he's rising up in the ranks to basically get up to Mina's level. And sort of how Mina also basically feels like the Captain America of basically the 3rd Division, or just the division leaders as a whole. The reason why is because everyone loves Mina. Everyone sort of basically has a story where Mina saying like, oh, she's the best. I've seen her. She saved me once before, as some of the soldiers might say here and there. Or we might see an ad and it's basically her face right on the plastered on the front of the ad, showing that she's done a lot and inspired a lot of people on the way of her journey of being at the top as a captain. And just to put it bluntly, she's just cool. She got a big ass cannon with a tiger that basically helps her with the cannon here and there. Sort of feel like it's like Starscream's gun or some shit. But talk about everyone that's the soldiers as a whole, I like all of them because it feels like a genuine kinship when it comes to all of them, like I said before. But the actual beautiful thing about all of them is like they break the normality. They break the normality of all the soldiers that gets rules that gets applied to them. With there being 3 main rules that gets told to every single person that's in part of the 3rd Division by the vice captain himself. He says himself, you guys shouldn't have any bonds or attachments to each other because some of you are going to die, especially on the first mission. A lot of you are only going to cap out to 20 to 30% of your power, and that's basically going to be it. Any attempt to break this norm completely in half, because every single person comes back on that first mission. And with many characters saying it, but I don't necessarily know if they can fulfill it, but no one wants to die. They don't want to have anyone be killed. They don't want to lose anyone, and they still make an attempt to make attachments and bonds with each other. And lastly, it's actually a huge uptick when it comes to all of their powers. A lot of them have a higher power level than mostly any of the regular platoons out there. Even a lot of them are surprised, like, what the hell? These are just regular recruits. Why are they doing so good? They just build different. And one of the situations I really wanted to get into is something that's a huge spoiler, so if you haven't already seen or liked all the spoilers to this point, or you just want to watch the show, go ahead and watch it. But the huge spoiler I want to get into is just basically the big reveal. The big reveal that Kafka is actually a kaiju this whole time, or he's been hiding that he's been kaiju number 8 the whole specific time. Now, reveals can go into multiple different directions, right? It can either be a complete acceptance of what people think about you and how they treat you. So most of the time, it takes time for someone to maybe potentially forgive you for whatever you have potentially done, or it's just like someone that doesn't want to acknowledge you or even talk to you, speak to you, or be with you at all, period. And the first one feels like it's a complete rarity, and we go with the first one. That is one of my favorite things about this series. The reason it being is because nothing goes to waste. Everything that Kafka has done for these people, whether it be give them laughs or give them hope or give them advice about what they should be doing in a specific situation, nothing goes to waste. Nothing is shrugged off. They know who Kafka is as a person to his core. They know who he is and what he's done all the way up until this point. So it's just amazing and beautiful to not only see the situation come to fruition, but also at the same time, no one actually says, frick Kafka, we hate him, fuck him, just get rid of him, kill him, he's a kaiju. All of them actually make an attempt to help him in some specific different way. And no matter what the facts are, they still believe in him, just like how Kafka believed in them. Now for the very, very last thing I would have to probably get into, which would probably be the kaijus themselves. It feels like the word kaiju is basically just substituted for the word monster, because not only do some of the kaijus just basically like some crazy, insane, really cool monsters, but some of them just aren't like big ass monsters like I would think of as a kaiju, like a Godzilla, like a King Kong. I guess he's a kaiju. Well, it doesn't matter. Any just type of big ass monster that maybe Godzilla is fighting at this moment in time, and that's okay. I really do like it when people sort of thin the line of something and they basically borderline become something else completely different, or so hinging on the line or the border of that specific thing. And shit, if we didn't do that, you can look it up for yourself. We wouldn't really necessarily have the zombies that we have today, or we wouldn't really have the vampires that we do also have today as well. Oh yeah,
One more thing.
almost forgot to mention it, but it's also the fights. I really do like the fights as well. I do feel like there's a lot of talking explanation when it comes to it, which I am very much, I do love that when it comes to certain fights. But I feel like they do a really exceptional good job when it comes to building up in the fights themselves, or all the way up until something or a specific moment is going to happen. It's fucking phenomenal. With also some of the creature designs that we do get for some of the quote-unquote kaijus that are in the show is actually pretty nice. I do like the kaiju number 9. I do like kaiju number 10. That's also really fucking cool. Probably kaiju number 10 is almost my favorite, but I do love the design of kaiju number 8 probably the most, if anything. But other than that, I really do like kaiju number 8. I think everyone should give it a chance, give it a shot, give it a watch, and if anything, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.